Do you remember this from your childhood? Holding something broken in your hands and hearing someone say, "Just throw it away." I don't have that memory because my grandparents in Japan never said those words, not even once. Before throwing anything away, they always paused. They looked at it carefully. They touched it with their hands. They felt its weight. And then they thought, isn't there something else this could still become? When I was young, I found that strange. But now, after living a longer life myself, I understand it clearly. That wasn't about saving money. It was a quiet way of living that kept the mind and hands moving. Not don't throw it away, but think first. Please don't misunderstand. My grandparents were not people who hoarded things. Their home was tidy. The air felt light. Only what was truly needed was kept, and only in the amount that was needed. But there was one thing very different from today. They never rushed a decision. Even when something was broken, they didn't immediately decide keep it or throw it away. A decision that might take us just a few seconds today took them minutes, sometimes even days. And that pause mattered. Stopping, thinking, imagining a different use. This process is actually a powerful exercise for the brain. My grandparents weren't people who simply didn't throw things away. They were people who used their brains every day. A torn towel, a small memory. One afternoon, after the rain had stopped, the soil in the garden was still damp, and the scent of earth and grass drifted gently into the room. My grandmother sat at a low table, spreading an old towel across her lap. The fabric was thin. Threads were showing. It clearly looked like something that had finished its job. I said, "That's no good anymore." She didn't answer right away. She lifted the towel, held it up to the light, ran her fingers across it, and stayed silent for a while. That silence wasn't hesitation. It was thinking. "Yes, but still," she said softly. She took out her old scissors and slowly began to cut the cloth. Snip, snip. At that moment, she wasn't just cutting fabric. She was looking, moving her hands, and imagining a new role. It was time spent using both the brain and the hands together. Unnoticed handwork, the best kind of health habit. From the next day on, that towel was used in the kitchen, wiping the floor, soaking up water, collecting dirt, washed again, hung out to dry. No one praised it. It earned no money. It left no record. And yet, my grandmother's days were always filled with this kind of quiet handwork. Now I understand. This wasn't just housework. It was a habit that never let the brain go idle. Thinking, adjusting, moving the hands. People who repeat this tend to let aging move more slowly. Empty jars and my grandfather. Why thinking slows? Aging in my grandfather's workshop? There were many empty glass jars. I asked him, "Why don't you throw them away?" He tapped one gently and let me hear the sound. "It still makes a useful sound," he said. He didn't decide right away what it would be used for. He simply left space to think. That space, that margin, keeps the brain working. If you throw something away, thinking ends. But if you keep thinking, the brain keeps moving. My grandfather did this without even realizing it. What I learned about staying young. My grandparents never tried to look younger. They didn't follow exercise programs. They didn't chase health trends. They simply spent every day thinking, adjusting, and using their hands. That's why they were never rushed by aging. They stayed young, not because they tried, but because they kept thinking. Mottainai, a word that protects the brain and life. Mottainai doesn't mean thrift. It means respect. Remembering the time, the effort, and the care inside an object. And then thinking, with your own mind, about what comes next. That brief moment quietly supports both the mind and the body. And it's not only about objects, it's about people, memories, and yourself. You don't need to change your life. You don't need to start a new health routine. Just one thing. Before throwing something away, pause for 3 seconds. Ask yourself, is there another use? Could this become something else? Those 3 seconds wake up the brain. And over time, they help keep you young. My grandparents never said, throw it away. Now I understand that wasn't a lesson about things. It was a lesson about choosing how we grow older.